Today we are going to talk about the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle. But before we get started, you don't even know who I am, or maybe you do. Hey, hi, hello. If you know, welcome back. If you are OG to my channel, and hey girl or boy, how you doing? My name is Sendal, and welcome to my channel where we talk about the wonders of nature and their benefits for healthy hair, skin, nails, gut health, and so many other things. I'm a cosmetologist, herbalist, scientist, and so many other things. And today we are going to talk about the natural hair growth cycle. There are different phases of the hair growth cycle, but today we are talking about the anagen phase. The anagen phase is the first phase of the hair growth cycle where your hair follicle is producing new cells. This is the stage of the hair growth cycle where your hair follicle has massive activity. The base of the hair follicle is responsible for nourishing the hair shaft. This is known as the papilla. Blood vessels deliver essential nutrients and oxygen to the papilla to promote healthy hair growth. This phase is characterized by the constant production of new hair strands. The cells within the hair's matrix located within the papilla, they divide and differentiate into specialized cells that make up your hair shaft. These cells produce a keratin protein, right? And this keratin protein forms the structure that is your hair shaft. Now, the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle lasts anywhere between 2 to 7 years, but it is really important for you to know that depending on your patterns and depending on the things that you eat, the natural hair growth cycle could be a lot shorter or a lot longer for some people. Genetic factors play a role in the longevity or the shorter phase of the hair growth cycle. And remember, when somebody says genetic factors means is another way of saying family patterns. So depending on the foods that you're eating, depending on the places that you're living, the patterns that you have, the way you wear your hairs, your cultural hairstyles and things like that. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying like, oh, you born from this family, so your hair cells grow like this. A lot of times your genetic patterns and the genetic makeup has a lot to do with that. Factors such as age, hormones, and your overall health can influence the length of your natural hair growth of your anagen phase. The hair growth during the anagen phase isn't constant, but it is happening at a consistent rate. So your hair isn't just growing like non-stop, like just 24 hours a day, like it's growing inches every hour, 17, 18 inches every single hour for 7 years. Like, no, but it's growing at the same, like, consistent pace. If it's healthy, it's growing at a really consistent pace. I hope that makes sense. On average, your hair grows about 1 inch and some change every month, but this is too gonna be dependent on the way that you're eating and the way that you're doing your hair, the things that you're putting on the scalp. The length that your hair can get to is directly related to the amount of hair cells that you are able to produce throughout the anagen phase of your hair growth cycle and nothing else. Those with longer anagen phases can grow their hair longer before it reaches the canogen phase of the hair growth cycle, and eventually to the telogen and the estrogen phase where it sheds. To maintain a healthy anagen phase of the hair growth cycle, it is so important that you give the body the things that it needs to produce healthy hair. So what are those things? Let's talk about them. Biotin, iron, and zinc are so massively important when it comes to healthy hair, skin, and nails. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Within Simple Apothecary, we have amazing blends that promote healthy hair growth and that are rich in all of these herbs that you need. So make sure you check the links in the description box below to get some of them. But some of my favorite ones for the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle is going to be my gunpowder zen green tea, because it has gunpowder, green tea, peppermint, and spearmint, which are amazing at helping the body to maintain healthy gut health, and healthy gut functions that will in return help your body to produce as many healthy hair growth cells as it can throughout the anagen phase of your hair growth cycle. Several factors can slow down your natural hair growth cycle. Number one, again, is going to be genetics. Again, when I say genetic factors, I'm not saying, oh, the way that you were born. When I say genetics, anytime you hear somebody say genetics, really go get a pen and paper and try to write down all of the different habits that you have that are habitual habits, down to your diet and the way that you eat, that everybody in your family has, and then coincide those habits with the same illnesses and diseases that you'll see that your family has year in and year out. That is how you can kind of start to distinguish which things you should take out and replace with other things to kind of change those genetic factors. All right. Age. As you age, the anagen phase does get a little shorter, and in return it makes your hair a little bit more fragile and more prone to breakage. So as you get older, you do want to increase the amount of like bond treatments and bond reconstructive treatments that you're doing, because your hair strands are getting weaker and weaker. You want to make sure that, I know that online it may seem like protein treatments are the best thing for you to do, but when you really think about it, in my opinion, doing too many protein treatments could do in reverse, because bond treatment is for the cortex of the hair shaft. Remember, the hair shaft is broken down into 3 layers. You have the cuticle, which is the top layer made of dead hair cells, and then you have the cortex of the hair shaft where all of your bonds live, and the medulla, which not everybody has, right? So when you do a protein treatment, what you're doing is reinforcing those layers on the hair shaft. And so if you reinforce them too much, right, and your hair is already a little weaker, it's already a little more brittle, and then you make those hair shafts, you make those cuticle layers even tighter, what you'll end up doing is causing your hair to break faster, versus you doing a bond reconstructive treatment. A bond reconstructive treatment goes past that layer and it goes within the bonds of the hair shaft and it links the bonds together. So you'll have, let's say it's supposed to be a link like this, but let's say it can't link. Let's say this link, instead of it being a circle like this, let's say it's a circle like this. So what OLAPLEX does, OLAPLEX will come through and it'll complete this link. So now the link is together, the hair is stronger. So if you are a person who is older and you are experiencing breakage, this is something that's really good. Or if you are a person who feels like your hair is really prone to breakage, like as soon as you comb your hair you feel like it is really prone to breakage, it's snapping really easy, that's just because your bonds are weak and the elasticity is damaged. So if you give yourself an OLAPLEX treatment, you'll be good. If you use the code _IamSendal_, you can't forget the underscore at the beginning and at the end, you will get a little discount on your first order from OLAPLEX. So make sure you check the links in the description box below, add my code, and you in there like swimwear. Hormonal changes like pregnancy is definitely going to interfere with your hair growth cycle and the anagen phase of your hair growth cycle, so you will need to do things to repower it and reset it. Also, menopause and any other hormonal disorders will affect your natural hair growth cycle. An increase in certain hormones can extend the anagen phase, while imbalance in certain hormones can cut the anagen phase short. Keep that in mind. Stress. High levels of stress will cut the anagen phase off and it will push you into telogen. Telogen is the phase of the hair growth cycle where the hair is not growing or falling out, it's just resting, it's not doing anything whatsoever. So if you're stressing, you can take your hair into telogen effluvium, and if it's masterful stress, you can take the body into the catagen phase, which is the phase where your hair shaft detaches itself from the blood supply so it can eject its way out and fall out through the estrogen phase, which isn't supposed to happen right after anagen. Nutritional deficiencies can really interfere with your body's ability to produce new hair cells. If you're not ingesting the right amount of nutrients, the right amount of minerals and antioxidants and all of that, your body is not able to produce healthy hair, skin, and nails. I'm know it may be really hard for you to get a hold on what you are supposed to eat and what you're not supposed to eat, and what antioxidants your body needs to grow healthy hair, skin, and nails. Well, I have something for you. If you get this ebook and add it to your cart, with this ebook right here, I show you guys all of the amino acids that the body needs to make healthy hair, skin, nails, and exactly where to get them from plants and the everyday fruits and vegetables that you eat, and so many other things, along with a little journal for you to have to keep notes and records of all of the changes that you're making to your diet. And it gives you a blueprint on how to make these changes. So make sure you get this ebook right here, link in the description box below, so you can get a hold on the anagen phase of your hair growth cycle, because one of the number one things for your hair not growing the way that it's supposed to be is your body not being able to produce new hair growth cells during the anagen phase. And the only way it can do that is if you have the right type of nutrition. Medical conditions such as alopecia areata, different thyroid issues or disorders can interfere with the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle, cutting it short. Medications, especially those used through chemotherapy, can cut short the hair growth cycle in general, but this is still only something that will affect the hair follicle temporarily shortening and ending the hair growth cycle. That's why you see all of the hair loss, because the chemotherapy will cause the anagen phase to just stop and then the hair to go automatically to the estrogen phase. But as you know, once the chemotherapy is over, the hair growth cycle can reset itself back to the anagen phase, but that is something medications and different treatments can stop it. Environmental factors like UV radiation, pollution, and too much sun exposure to the scalp and different things like that can put stress on the hair follicle, cutting the anagen phase off. Overloading the scalp with excessive products can lead to you shortening the anagen phase aggressively. I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear this, but it is the truth that most people need to know. By clogging the hair follicle with different products, you interfere and cut short the follicle's natural rhythms, the follicle's natural need to release sebum, the follicle's natural need to release sweat, the follicle's natural need to release the natural yeast and bacteria and acid that lives within it. If your follicles are coated and blocked, then all of the acid and the yeast and the oil and the bacteria and the sweat and everything that needs to come out of the follicle can't come out because the follicles are blocked. So limit the amount of product buildup. It is a fact, and I know for a fact I am backed by a lot of dermatologists saying that nothing belongs on the scalp except for shampoo, unless you are trying to cure some type of disease, and unless you are trying to cure some type of scalp infection with a topical treatment. And topical treatments are not applied to the scalp any longer than 30 minutes unless you get different directions from your dermatologist after a skin biopsy. After a skin biopsy, they may see that you have a bacteria that may need a more excessive treatment. Even though it may seem oil-based, they're not using an oil. The oil is carrying a powerful killer of a bacteria. Okay, so really keep that in mind. Oils do not kill bacteria. Irritation. Some hair products could cause certain additives that can really irritate the hair's follicle, and when you have any type of irritation on the scalp whatsoever, it sends signals to the body like, girl, something wrong. And when your body feels like it's something wrong, it sends the hair into telogen effluvium. And if you are in the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle and you get sent into telogen effluvium, you throw off the hair growth cycle. So keep the scalp clean. When you oil the scalp, not only are you blocking the follicle, but you're actually putting weight on the follicle, because remember, any product that you put on the hair is extra weight, it's heavier, it weighs more. If you were to put a hair strand on a scale before a product and then you put a bunch of layers of product on and put it on the scale, it's going to be a different weight. So the more products you put on the hair, the more weight you're putting on the hair follicle, the more your hair follicle, the more the hair shaft has to hold on to. The more stress you put on the hair follicle again sees stress as a warning sign, pushing you out of the anagen phase into either catagen or telogen. So the weight of products really can cut off and cut short your natural hair growth cycle. Like I said, allergic reactions to certain hair products. Make sure that any hair product that you try, you do a patch test, like a skin test, before you try it out. I have been doing hair for over a decade, and I promise I've really been using the same hair products the whole time. A lot of people say, Sam, what do you think about this product? What do you think about this product? I don't know, like, because I don't switch up. If it's not broke, I don't fix it. But if you're going to use a new product, make sure you test it on your skin first and see if whether or not it is going to work, because to just put a product on your hair and test it out like that, it only takes one time, probably about 5 to 10 minutes to stop, or have to stop and cut short your hair growth cycle. So do not be a test dummy with products. Try it out on your skin, or if you want to see if a product even works for your hair, get a mannequin and try it out on a mannequin, because if you try it out on your hair, all it takes is for one time for you to use it to set it off. Just like apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is pure acid. So people are like, oh, I only use it one time. It only takes one time for the apple cider vinegar to go into your toilet that's already full with water and break down the hair that's in the toilet bowl, or whatever it's called in the toilet, and push it through. So it's the same thing. It only takes one time to damage the hair follicle or to stress the hair follicle with acid and push your hair into telogen. Really remember that. Imbalanced pH. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, but I can't stand co-washing, because when you co-wash your hair, you're not really removing bacteria from the scalp. And when you don't remove bacteria from the scalp does not have a natural balance. It's not balanced. It's not neutralized. There's no natural pH balance. I remember when I first made videos telling people not to use rice water because it would ruin the natural hair growth cycle, like it did all these years later. Another thing that I brought up, a lot of people couldn't take it from me because I had a relaxer with color in it. But when you neutralize something, you literally control it, right? You cap it, you cut it off. But see, when you use homemade products that don't have any type of neutralization process, basically a neutralizer means it's going to stop working at this point. After I rinse the relaxer out of my client's hair and I put the neutralizer on it, I balance my client's pH balance. I take my client's natural pH balance back to where it's supposed to be. But see, if you have something that is like a homemade product that has a homemade bacteria that's uncontrolled, uncapped, and always growing, that pH balance is never capped because it's always changing, because the bacteria is always growing. I hope that makes sense. So make sure that any product that you are using is a professionally made product that has natural preservatives, so that way whatever is in that product is neutralized. The bacteria is no longer growing. Is so important. Using homemade products that have a whole lot of uncapped bacteria, or using food and things of that nature in your hair, can really result in your natural hair growth cycle being thrown off. Because when you introduce bacteria that does not belong there into the hair follicle, as the hair follicle is producing new cells, what you do is you throw it off, because your hair follicle is making new cells as you're inducing or introducing new live living bacteria into the follicle that wants to do its own thing. So really be cautious of that. When you put food and when you put homemade bacteria and products in your hair, the only control you have over it is putting it in your hair. After you put it in your hair, the product is going to do whatever it wants to your follicle and you have no control. To maintain a healthy anagen phase, you want to do the following. Use products that are suitable for your hair type and scalp conditions. Understand that hair products go on the hair shaft, and the only thing that should ever go on your scalp is shampoo, unless you're treating some type of infection. infection prescribed to you by a dermatologist. That is it. That is all. Other than that, anything that you put on your scalp should be rinsed off in 30 minutes with a detoxifying shampoo. Every single time. Your scalp is only going to absorb about 60% of whatever you put on it. So after those 30 minutes, you shampoo off everything with a detoxifying shampoo, and whatever your scalp has absorbed in those 30 minutes is not going to be washed away with shampoo. It's already been absorbed into the follicle. Do not sit product on top of the follicle. After you put products on, if you can go like this and see a bunch of grease and stuff on your hand, you have too much product on your hair. Avoid overusing products. Use the amount explained to you on the bottle, or just use a very, very small amount. You have never been into a hair salon and seen a hairstylist put a glob of hair products in the middle of her hand like that. Like, absolutely no. It's career suicide because I'm spending too much money buying all these products. And then two, is only gonna clog the hair follicle and weigh the hair down. In the hair salon, the thing that we love is weightless hair, and the one way to get weightless hair is to minimize product. The more product, be mindful of any different feelings that you are having in your scalp when you have different hairstyles. If you have a hairstyle and it hurts, take it out. If you are experiencing itching and throbbing in your hair, take it out. Anything that you notice that feels uncomfortable with your hair, end it, whatever you're doing, because that is your body sending a signal to you saying,
hey girl, we about to jump, we about to fall out, you better stop this shit, because we about to go, me and Leroy and the chickens, and then we about to get all our kids, about to get all our shit, you go, on that bullshit, we about to go.
So I really want you to be aware and conscious of when your body is responding to the things that you're doing to it. On my blog, I have a full detailed breakdown of what you need to eat and the things that you need to do for free 99. I have a detailed breakdown of all of the different things that you can do right now, today, just that you can do right now today to reset your anagen phase. So if you want that information that is right here, then what I need you to do is head over to my blog, link in the description box below, and read through it to set your anagen phase today. If you have not done so already, make sure you subscribe here to my channel and click on those bell notifications, so that way you will see my next video where we talk about the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle. I love you guys so much, and until my next video, bye. And stop putting all that stuff in your hair and wash it.